Welcome to the Bourbon Doctors. I'm Albert. This is Chad.
And today there's this controversy.
Controversy?
It's I see it all over on the channels because they're talking about how they changed the label.
They
changed the stuff inside, and I don't buy it. I'm like, I think they just changed the label. But there is people saying that I have a bottle here of 1910 with the old label. In other words, old 1910. It's almost gone, as you can see. And I just bought a bottle of new 1910. And I got to find out, do they taste the same? Because they should. And for those of you who don't know, 1910.
Don't tell the story.
We don't need to tell
the
story
story.
The bottling line
we don't need to hear the story about the bottling line.
It's a double-barreled whiskey. I love it.
Yes, we know.
It's my favorite.
So what is important to know is that
it's a great
really
story.
This discussion has been more centered around 1920 because that's, that also has changed its label. And that's really the old Forrester bourbon that most of the YouTube channels and most of the bourbon aficionados go to. We're both fans of 1910.
1910 is my favorite.
I mean, I like 1920 too, don't get me wrong, but I'm a big fan of 1910. And
Can I tell a story about 1920? No stories?
You want to tell a story about 1920?
1920, there were 6 distilleries that were allowed to make medicinal whiskey.
It's story time
during
with Chad.
Prohibition, and that was one of them, and that's their 1920. That's why it's called Prohibition Batch.
Thank you, Chad.
What a great story.
That's a great story. You didn't get that from reading the back of the bottle, did you?
No, I got it from my mind.
Okay, so we've seen the Bourbon Junkies talk about the bottle of 1920, and they did a blind. I watched It's Bourbon Night with Chad and Sarah. They talked about the 1920, and that went off the rails a little bit, and somehow Rare Breed was bought in. ADHD Whiskey has also talked about 1920 and the label is changing, and is the whiskey different? So far, I've seen 2 channels say the whiskey is the same, and one channel say the whiskey is... No, 2 channels say the whiskey is different, and one channel say the whiskey is the same. We're gonna be the
tiebreaker. We're gonna be the definitive.
Except we're doing 1910
tasters.
because we don't have the new label of 1920 yet.
I don't care. I love it.
Yeah, I know.
Good stuff.
It's fine. It's fine.
I don't love it. But
So anyway, let's do some blind taste testing of new and old 1910. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
And
do you want to explain this blinding process?
No, you can. It's too complex for me. You're a plastic surgeon. This should be.
So, I borrowed a little bit from the Bourbon Junkies. When they did this, they didn't just pour 2 glasses. They poured 3 so that you could really confuse us a little bit. Not only that, one of us has 2 samples of the old, and one of us has 2 samples of the new. So
we need to see, is there anything different?
Number
in these
1,
3 glasses?
can you figure out which one is 2, or do they all taste exactly the same?
One of these things is not like the other.
Or maybe they all
Sesame
are
Street
the
game.
same.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that they all taste the same. Because, come on. Are they really going to change the bottling process? Are they really going to change the distilling process?
guessing?
Are they really... No, they just changed the freaking label.
They just changed the label.
Yeah.
This is a nonsense.
This is a nonsense episode? Maybe. This is content in 2021. Now, I will say that it's very possible that Dan and Sean over at the Bourbon Junkies have both a better nose and a better palate than I do. I think that's...
You almost said ballot.
I almost said ballot.
But you didn't.
They live in Michigan. Their ballots don't count, right?
They're hanging chads.
God, you know what I'm taking out of this so far?
Whiskey?
I think I like 1920 better than 1910.
Really?
Yeah, based on my memory of what 1910 tastes like. Or 1920. I know what 1910 tastes
1910 has done
like.
very well in some of our taste-offs.
It really has. All right, now I don't know, but I think I just got a different taste out of 3 than I got out of
Here's
1 and
what
2.
I'll tell you. Actually, on my lineup, 2 tasted a little different than 1 and 3.
And on my lineup, I feel like 3 tasted a little different than 1 and 2.
It's subtle.
The question is
but
are
it's
we making
just-
it up?
It does. It's just slightly different. I thought 1 and 3 in my lineup are the same whiskey. 2 is slightly different, but who knows? I mean, anytime you get any bottle, it might be a little bit different than the last bottle you had. But
yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, even though they try very hard to make these products identical throughout their lineup, there's got to be some variability from line to line, right?
Go ahead. Which one do you think is different in your 3?
I mean, initially I said 3. That was my first impression. 1 and 2 taste the same to me.
Okay. I got 1 and 3 taste the same. 2 tastes a little different. They're all 3 really good. So now we need to find out if we're right, if we're full of crap.
Is he?
On
my side, what was the one that was different?
3.
Was it the new or the old?
Old.
On my side, which one was different?
New. Or 2.
So we picked out.
We were right.
We picked out the different bottles. Now,
So I had 2 olds and 1 new,
yeah.
and it was different. You had the exact opposite, and you were able to pick it out. So
There is a difference.
there's a difference.
Now,
Not if you're tasting them head to head, it is subtle. I'm not gonna lie.
no, it's subtle.
But both of us knuckleheads picked it out.
Yeah.
And what kind of knuckleheads?
So here's the question I have. If we get 2 bottles of 1910 with the new label, will the same thing happen just because they're 2 different bottles?
Yeah, that's
You know,
possible.
even though this stuff is mass produced for the most part, there's got to be some variability from bottle to bottle, from
Still
batch to batch.
It's damn good whiskey.
It's really good whiskey.
But it is, no doubt, the old bottle's different than the new, even outside of the label.
Yeah. Outside.
Although this bottle is now gone.
Yeah. And then.
So was it because it was the end of the bottle? Or?
Yeah, now that brings us into a whole nother
You're into
topic
neck pour.
of the basic neck pour. Does air make a difference? Does opening the bottle? It's
I'm not convinced.
this
but
is so.
all I know is 2 tasted a little
2
different than 1 and 3, and we were both right because your 3 was a little different.
Did you have a preference for one?
No, actually,
I mean, there was a difference, right? I think I was so consumed with finding the difference.
yeah, you're right. I should figure that out because now that I know that 2 is. Which one was 2 on mine? Was that the old or the new?
New.
I like 2 better. I like the new better.
So do I.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying that.
They're different,
Yeah,
and we both like the new better. Which is good because the old
That's what
bottle's
we got
gone.
now. Yeah,
And
the
that's
old
all I
bottle's
got.
gone. Yeah.
So rock and roll on the new
Yeah.
bottle.
But kudos to the bourbon junkies, and kudos to all the ADHD whiskey, Matt over at ADHD whiskey. They did this with
Now, last
1920.
Bring in the 20.
Oh. Anyway, as I was saying, kudos to them for this idea, for their methodology. Although I still think we need another. There's cherries in that glass. What the fuck are you doing?
No, I had a drink in there.
You got Glencairn's right there. Where you
I don't
could-
care. I want this glass. This is St. Thomas I'm representing.
So what Chad is doing, I believe, is making a
1915, baby. Half 1910, half 1920. Woo! And you just did it. No, you didn't, because those 2 are the same. That's the different one. They're the
know.
same.
Yeah, so that's 1910.
Okay.
This is 1920. It's okay. He's a general surgeon. They don't have to be that smart. It's fine. It's all good.
All right, here's what I'm going to tell you. Go ahead and try that.
You're gonna tell me that this is better.
This is better than either bottle all alone.
Now, again, that's really good. I will say, prove it.
All right, maybe another episode. But I'm going to say right now,
But the 1915
I just
is
made a
really good.
1915, which for those of you out there who don't know, half 1910, half 1920, because the spiciness and what is that, 120 proof?
It's
almost?
115.
115 proof. This is 93 and a little more sweet. They say this to me is tremendous. It's a tremendous blend.
You know, I'll tell you, I'm a fan of the 1920. At first, early
that's
on,
good.
I liked the 1910. It was a little sweeter. I have grown to love the 1920. It might, I mean, all of YouTube can't be wrong, right? All of the bourbon community can't be wrong.
Well, we could be wrong.
We could be wrong. Anyway, yes, the new label, the new bottle, something's different.
Something's different.
Something's different. They're on to
Other
something.
than the label.
Well, either way, enjoy, have fun, drink your whiskey, like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. Oh, and you know, we just reached our 500. We had our 500th subscriber. We know that's nothing. We get it, but we're excited about it.
Yeah.
So excited
Get a
that
little excited.
we're gonna throw this out there. When we get to 1,000, someone's getting free merch.
Yeah.
You know, neither one of us is wearing Bourbon Doctor t-shirts
I got
today,
my
but we
Step
have
Brothers.
them. When we get to 1,000, that 1,000th subscriber, you'll get a free t-shirt.
Rock and roll, man. Bourbon is for drinking.
Bourbon is for drinking.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Go Tommies.